Hello and welcome back to our grade 9 maths lesson. I am Mrs. Rhea, your grade 9 teacher. Okay, in our last lesson, we looked at probabilities of events. In this lesson, we are going to look at probabilities of combinations of events. Okay, now, how do we find the probability of getting 2 heads and a tail when a coin is tossed 3 times? We can use the tree diagram to calculate the probability of getting 2 heads and a tail. We are going to do that. Okay, let's say we start with the flips. Okay, we have the first flip, the second flip, because we are going to flip the coin 3 times, and then we have the third flip. Now, we start with the coin, and when we flip it for the first time, we have the head and a tail. Now, when we flip it for the second time, that head will have again the head and a tail. And then when we flip it the third time, the head here will also have a head and a tail. And this tail here will also have a probability of a head and a tail. That's for the head alone when we flip it 3 times. Now, for the tail, if I flip the coin for the first time, I will have a head and a tail. And if I flip it the second time, the tail will also have a head and a tail. If I flip it the third time, this head will also have the head and a tail. And this tail here will also have a head and a tail. Now, we can find the total outcomes by looking at the branches. Okay, so let's put the outcomes here. Okay, the total outcomes. We have the first one, H, H, H. When we look at the next branch, we have H, H, and T. Then, if you look at this branch here, we have H, T, H, and then the last branch of the H, we have H, T, and T. Now, let's look at the second branch, which is the T branch. Okay, for the T branch, we have the first branch, which has T, H, H, and then the next branch, which has T, H, T, and then we have this branch here, which have T, T, H, and the last branch, which has T, T, T. Now, let's see how many total outcomes do we have. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We have a total of 8 possible outcomes. Now, our probability is to find 2 heads and 1 tail. Now, let's look at our total possible outcomes, 2 heads and 1 tail. heads and 1 tail, and another 2 heads and 1 tail. So we have a probability of 3/8. 8 is the total possible outcomes. We can change that to a decimal. When we change it to a decimal, that gives us 0.375. 0.375, which can be converted to a percentage, that is 37.5%. Okay? So the probability of getting 2 heads and 1 tail is 3/8, which is 0.375, and that is equal to 37.5%. So that's how we can find the probability of combining 2 or more events, like what we have done here. Now, we are going to look at the second example. The second example again is on combining 2 events. Now, this time we have a jar which contains 2 red marbles and 3 blue marbles. Now, if I want to find out the probability of getting a red marble or a blue marble, I will have to again use the tree diagram to do that. So let's say I have marbles in the jar, and I close my eyes and I select or pick any one of the marbles in the jar. Now, I take it out and then I close my eyes again and I get another marble without replacing the first marble. So I remove 2 marbles randomly without seeing what the color of the marble is. And I have to calculate the probability of selecting red or blue marbles. So how do I do that? Okay, so I'll use the tree diagram. This is for the first marble, and then this is for the second marble. Okay. Let's say we have marbles in a jar, 2 red marbles and 3 blue marbles. So now, for the first probability, we have the red and the blue marble. We want to select 1 marble randomly. I close my eyes and I just pick any marble. I don't know which color it is. But if it's going to be a red marble, then the probability will be 2/5 because there are 2 red marbles. And the probability of the blue marbles will be 3/5. Now, if I have to select a second marble without replacing the first one, again, the probability of red will be 1/4. Why did I say 1/4? When I have removed the first marble, I am now left with 4 marbles. And if it is a red marble that I have removed, then the probability now for the red marble will be 1/4. But the probability for the blue marbles will not be affected because I have removed 1 red marble, so this one will still remain as 3/4. Now, this time if I remove a blue marble, the probability of removing a blue marble will be 3/5. And if I have to remove a blue marble for the second time, now this time the red marble will not be affected, so the red marble will be still 2/4. I have removed 1, so I am left with 4 marbles. But the blue one will be affected because the second time I am taking the marble out, it is a blue marble, so I will be left with 2 marbles, so it will be 2/4. Then I look at the total possible outcomes of selecting 2 marbles randomly. So my outcomes are going to be written here. So I have the outcomes here. First, I have RR if I am going to follow this tree diagram, I look at the first branch, that's RR. The second one is RB, one red and one blue. From the blue branch, I have blue and one red and blue, two blues. What is my probability of selecting 2 red marbles? That is going to be 2/5 times 1/4, and that is 2/20, which is simplified to 1/10. Now, for the red and blue marbles, I have 2/5 times 3/4, and that is equal to 6/20, which is 3/10. And then, again, if we look at this branch, I have one blue marble and one red marble, so the probability is 3/5 times 2/4, which is again 6/20, and that is 3/10. And for 2 blue marbles, probability is 3/5 times 2/4, which is equal to 6/20 simplified to 3/10. Now, the probability that I have is selecting 2 red marbles. If I am to find out what the probability is of selecting 2 red marbles, my probability will be from this one here. So, the probability of getting 2 red marbles will be equal to 1/10, which is 0.1, and as a percentage, that is 10%. If I am to find the probability of selecting 2 blue marbles, the probability of 2 blue marbles is equal to 3/10, which is 0.3, and that is equal to 30%. So, we can use the tree diagram to find probabilities of combinations of events. Okay? That brings us to the end of our lesson. Hope you have enjoyed our lesson on probabilities. In our next lesson, we are going to start on with geometry. Okay? And I hope you are going to enjoy geometry. It's all on shapes and angles and figures that you name them. Thank you very much, and see you when we come for our next lesson.